Okay. I'm excited about bringing up this next person. Really, I mean, just tremendous. I mean, integrity, work ethic, just top notch. I mean, a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 20 in work ethic. And I can tell you, he's done amazing things, building a huge U.S. and Canada-wide organization. And what this gentleman's going to talk about is how to build a huge North America-wide organization from your home market. So please help me welcome platinum and six-figure ring earner, Mr. Kevin Mack.
Well, I came to talk, and you came to listen. Right? If you finish before I do, just raise your hand. Right? Doesn't mean I'll stop, but we'll just know you're through. All right? Every morning, I thank God, the Father, for giving me more time. More time to develop and discover my talents. But more importantly, the wisdom to not just bury them, but to multiply them. For years, I have thanked Mr. and Mrs. Stone Cipher, Kevin Ray, Brian Carruthers, Darnell and Tracy Self, Michael Humes, and my sponsor, Carlo Brown. But what I've come to appreciate is that just saying thanks doesn't put any money in their pockets. Just saying thanks doesn't pay any bill. So I've been privileged enough to coin this simple phrase: the only way to show true appreciation for your leadership is through production. Would anyone agree? I've brought a PowerPoint presentation with me today, but I want to tell you in advance that those are my notes. And what I would simply like you to do is pay attention. Because not everyone who attends events pays attention. And then very few who pay attention take notes. And even less who take notes ever take action on those notes. And it is for that reason alone that the wealthiest land in the world is in fact the cemetery. So take copious notes and take action on those notes. Again, folks, my name is Kevin Mack, and I truly come from humble beginnings. I come from a background in corporate America and small business ownership. I was fortunate enough to run a retail operation for CVS Pharmacy from the age of 22 to 26. From the age of 27 to 29, I was privileged enough to open my own retail clothing store. It was at the conclusion of that journey that Carlo Brown, my sponsor, while spreading the gospel of prepaid legal, did they find me. For a very short period of time, folks, we've been privileged enough to grow, right, to develop a world-class international organization. I entered this opportunity with no experience at all. We were fortunate enough our first year to earn in excess of $80,000 our very first year. And to date, the company has paid us an average in excess of $100,000 for each year that we've been involved with this wonderful opportunity. I've been charged this evening to speak and share on the topic of sponsoring a long-distance, world-class international organization. I believe that we have to first set the stage with allowing you to understand that there is a difference between recruiting and sponsoring. The stage has been set so well this weekend on recruit, recruit, recruit. But what happens is, unfortunately, once we land a person in our organization, there's something that we must do. We have a responsibility. Recruiting is simply the process of bringing the new associate into your organization, but sponsoring is the act of serving the new associates that you've brought into your organization. And to serve simply means to remain attractive. The quickest way for you to become unattractive is simply by no longer serving. So we have a responsibility to serve. You know, can you guys say 3 by 5? 3 by 5. You know, I've been privileged enough here over my journey to sit, listen, and learn from some of the most influential thinkers and doers in the world. I picked up 3 philosophies that became a mindset for me. And that is what we're looking to establish, is a mindset of prosperity. Back in 1999, I was privileged enough to attend my very first Super Saturday, if you will, in which Dave Savola was the trainer. I've never had a conversation beyond 2 minutes in 8.5 years with Mr. Savola, but let me share with you what he deposited in me. He said, go where the smoke is. You know, it amazes me when I meet people at the director levels who simply say, hey, put 20 people in a room and I'll be there. Right? For me, put 2 people in the room and all I'm looking for is 1. See, we get so caught up making an attempt to only discover talent, but we are really on a journey, a mission, right, to develop talent. So you go where the fire is, go where the smoke is. At a directors and above training, better than 6 years ago, conducted by Mr. Brian Carruthers, what did he say? He said, burn the tree from the bottom up. What does that mean? It means you're going to be working through people, right? And as you work through people, you'll find the smoke, and you have to go and allow it to become a fire with your assistance. And then my very own mentor, who I spent much more personal time with, Mr. Donnell Self, he said, stay connected to the fire. And these fires, we're talking about the people who you bring in, the people who you are serving. So I learned early on, and I allowed it to become a mindset, that I must go where the smoke is, I must help it blaze, and I have to stay connected to that blaze. Does that make sense? Get away from bringing people in and then saying, thanks for coming in, and then you run the other way. I like to call it a 120-day honeymoon. But you can only honeymoon with the people who want to honeymoon with you, okay? Someone told me, look, I did my 120-day honeymoon with this person, but they really weren't calling me back. Well, you guys weren't on a honeymoon. On a honeymoon, you're together. Does that make sense? And so we stay connected, right, to our people. And so now the philosophy was there for me. It was etched in stone. Now I was unmovable, unbreakable, and unshakable on that thought. For those of you who know me, what's my favorite dance? Right? I keep it right here. Right? For 8.5 years. You know, when I try that snap stuff, I end up on somebody's lap in the front row. Too many people want to get jiggy with it, right? When all you had to do was keep it simple. Our responsibility here as a prepaid legal independent associate, right, if you choose to build that world-class international organization, is to become the best air traffic controller that you could possibly be. Right here in this lane. And here's the definition of that air traffic controller, which is to conduct the flow of traffic effectively and efficiently to prevent conflict. That's it. See, I've always had lean thinking. I've only focused on the few things that make the most difference. I've never been a top recruiter. I've never been the #1 membership getter. But we have an organization that has developed an organization that has at least one executive director on the East Coast, the Midwest, the Southeast, the Southwest, the West Coast, and the third coast, which is Hawaii. We've developed an organization that has brought in at least one associate, though not all active, at least one associate in all 50 states and into Canada. And for many of you, this is the first time you've ever heard me speak. But that's what we've been doing, right? Being a servant. When you already have great leadership in place, oh man, make it easy on yourself. Make it easy on yourself. I mean, I can give so many examples within the organization of how to make it work, but for time's sake, I'll give you the longest distance example that we have for you. All right, we understand that recruiting is the process of bringing people into your business, right? But sponsoring is the act of serving those people who have come into your business. So what does that servant leadership look like when you're, in fact, building long distance? Folks, you have to first set people up for success, right? Things that have to be done once, you do it with them, right? You don't tell them to run along. You know, we joke about some of the other identity theft companies and we say they send you a kit and say, run along, boy, and fix it. And some of us do that with our very own associates. They come on board, you pull the check, and then you send them on their way. You'll be the first one to tell them that their family is the dream killer. But you never thought that you could be the dream killer for a new associate, did you? You never thought that. You know, we get so engrossed in some of the philosophies that we hear on the front end, but we never really take serious thought. Here's my point. When we hear, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Oh, you can blow the deal. You can blow the deal. Nothing could be further from the truth. Right? You have to serve. And people have to like you. I learned that early. You think they don't. And so here's the deal. You set them up for success. Right? When the gentleman in Maryland found Mr. Katoa on his list, right? We went into that list, right? And we went to work. There was smoke. You know, I was excited that we were in the Hawaii marketplace at that time. But for that first year of Mr. Katoa's journey, we found ourselves in Hawaii, okay, going to the smoke first. And then it landed us in California with his sister, Miss Emmeline Katoa. Right? So Savola said, go to the smoke. Right? Mr. Carruthers said, burn the tree from the bottom up. So the first 12 months, most of the time, was speaking with Miss Emmeline Katoa. That was burning the tree from the bottom up. Right? Then over time, right, while Mr. Katoa went through his process, right, then he got even more excited about the opportunity. He saw that I was still willing to serve him because I was a part of an organization that was serving me. It made everything, right, so much easier. You see, I didn't have to create anything because things were in place. All I had to do was direct that Midwest, that West Coast, that Third Coast. All I had to do was direct them to a Team New Vision system that was already in place. Right? The conference calls, right? Meetings, things were already in place. Right? Setting them up for success. I went to prepaidlegal.com and associates only. I looked up the area coordinator at the time. I found out where the briefing was. You see, I was working for him. I want you to understand that. You have to make the calls. When you're helping them set up their e-service, you do it with them. They're long distance. When they're setting up their televox, things that have to be done one time, you do it with them. You take them by the hand. You have to be a live, physical example. And the great thing about it is I was able to be that live physical example for him from the comfort of my home. He was more than 5,000 miles away. Right? Daily in constant communication. Gang, I'm talking every day. Right? If you don't talk to the associates who you're sponsoring every day, you in fact are leaving them out for the wolves. Don't let it happen. Protect your flock, right? You have to protect your flock. It takes constant. Every now and then they were 5 to 6 hours in time difference. I knew exactly what time Mr. Katoa got off, and I was calling him, right, as soon as he got off. See, this is what people did not see, right, about the journey and the success, right, of the ring earners who you see coming across this stage. They, too, started in a place where they had to be served. So how dare you believe or think that you can get here as well without serving? Right? A live physical example. Right? Inventory, folks, and inspection. Right? You have to inspect what you expect. Inventory is checking, the production that's going on daily in your business. See, gang, we're running a business here. How many of you guys check the IVR every day, every single morning? For 8.5 years, I've been checking my numbers, gang, every single morning. Inventory and inspection. So as in the beginning, yes, you're assisting them and helping them to bring new members and recruits into the organization. Then as they get better, they begin to bring people in without you. But you know what? You still can't let them go too soon. You can't say, okay, they're on their way, so now let me go somewhere else. When a membership or associate hits the book, hey, you have to check and say, how did you do it? Right? What tool did you use? Ask the question. I've always wanted to build it once and build it for a lifetime. Not only is my advanced income at a passive six-figure income, but my earned income, right, is at a passive six-figure income. We're approaching nearly 25,000 associates and working our way up to nearly 100,000 organizational memberships. Right? Right? Three by five. Right? Got the mindset right. And then I was willing to serve. I was willing to go to work and make it real. Right? Inventory and inspection. And then you're constantly building relationships, right, forever. Now you're building relationships on the phone, right, here at the conventions, right, if at all possible in your marketplace. Make sure you set up a monthly team meeting in your marketplace. See, all across the country now, we've duplicated ourselves, right, to that degree, right, with the monthly face-to-face team meeting. That's where you get to know, like, and trust one another, right? These are all the components necessary, right, in sponsoring long distance, right, and building a world-class international organization. See, that has to be the expectation. People ask, well, how do you build long distance? I'm having a challenge. I mean, what are you talking about? It's the same way you build next door. Whether a person is next door, across the street, or across the country, the system never changes, right? The system never changes. People wonder why I'm always smiling, always energetic. I say, why? Everything's good. Why are you working so hard? Why are you stressing yourself out? So I just come here this morning to tell you, right, to simply focus on the few things that make the most difference. Folks, Mahatma Gandhi, who was in fact King's mentor, simply said this: I cannot teach what I do not know. I cannot lead where I'm not willing to go. If I want to see change, I must become that change that I hope to see. Folks, God bless and have an incredible weekend.